Hi, we're here with Scott Lerner. He is the CEO of Solixir. Solixir creates all-natural functional drinks with names like Awaken, Think, Relax, and Restore. Scott, please tell us what gave you the idea to create Solixir.
Well, basically the idea for Solixir was born out of my own need. I was an officer in the Marine Corps about 12, 15 years ago and got used to working out really early in the morning and realized as I got older, you need a little boost at 5 a.m. and I didn't really want to drink coffee and I was relegated to drinking energy drinks like Red Bull and wasn't happy with that choice. So I started to search the market for drinks that were healthy, all natural, clean, in my opinion. Couldn't find them, and so I said to myself, wow, here's an opportunity to make something that I'm looking for, and I'm sure other health-conscious people are looking for as well. So that's kind of how the idea was born. I was working for PepsiCo at the time, and decided this is a good enough idea for me to be crazy and jump away from corporate America and start my own company.
Great. And what was your biggest challenge in starting and growing a company?
You know, two things probably was getting it on the shelf with retailers, and then secondarily, raising money to build the company. Um, you know, Raising money, as you probably know, is always a full-time job in itself, and it's almost like you're doing two jobs at once. Starting up a company and at the same time raising capital for it. So I'd say those are the two biggest things that had been and continue to be the biggest challenges. Running the business is actually the easy part. Convincing people to put it on the shelf, and then having enough capital to fund operations is always a challenge.
So how did you get Solixir on shelves then?
Well, I had a really good relationship with Whole Foods Market from my time at Pepsi. We had purchased a brand called Naked Juice, and I moved out to California to help run that business, and I had a really good relationship with the lead buyer down in Austin, Texas. And when I left Pepsi, I told them, can I come down and show you the idea? And he said, sure, and they loved it, and then they took it on nationally in all their stores, which was kind of unheard of for a pre-revenue, idea that was just really a prototype. And so that was something that really helped us get the ball rolling in terms of raising money as well, because we had the credibility to say that Whole Foods was going to take it. So that's how it all started.
And now in terms of raising capital, are there any creative strategies that you used?
Well, it's kind of that crawl, walk, run mentality in my opinion. It's starting out in your tight, close circle, your friends, your family, and then one layer out. And you really, in my opinion, need to get sort of what I call the snowball effect happening. Because if you generate excitement and you start to sign people on, then other people want to jump on as well. So, targeting the people that you think are going to be most receptive to the idea and the idea of giving you money is probably the first and foremost thing that I learned to do. Whereas for some people, they might have been two layers out from my network, and at that time, they might not have been ready for me to come to them, and I might not have been ready to fully communicate the potential of the idea. So that's why I say kind of start kind of from your core and then build out from there, and then it goes back to taking a lot of meetings and lunches and coffees and chasing people down, but really developing your story is the most important thing, and having good documentation, really good executive summary that you can send out via email and then gain interest that then leads to your pitch deck and your follow-on information if need be. But that's I don't think there's like gimmicks, creative stuff that you can do to kind of get people excited. It's just being true to yourself, having a good story, and being able to clearly communicate it with data and analytics and a compelling story.
Sure. Scott, tell us a little about your metrics. So how many stores are you in nationally? Are you international at all?
Sure. Yeah, we're in about 1,500 stores nationally, but really what we've done in the past 9 months to a year is pivoted and focused in on more of a regional-based business. because what we saw was being spread out nationally. It's also spread out our marketing support. We really wanted to gain economies of scale in a couple markets with both our people and our marketing dollars. And so now we concentrate on the Northeast and the Midwest, with Chicago and Boston being the epicenters in those two areas. And thus, from there, we've kind of bridged out into those regions within all channels of business to include natural channel, which would be a whole food, mainstream grocery, like a Jewel here, Club, Costco, places like that, and try to penetrate as many locations in that market versus being spread out across the country. And it's worked for us. It's allowed us to be more efficient with our spending, and it also allows us to go after retailers in those regions because we say, well, we're with this guy, now can we get with you? Versus, it's irrelevant to someone in New York if we're with a retailer in LA, whereas if we get with his competitor in New York, then he wants to take us on usually. So that's the approach we've taken. So the doors, the store count hasn't been as big of a metric for us in a way as penetration within a market. So if we're in, 85% of the locations in Chicago, that's what we're more concerned about versus on a national basis.
Sure. And Scott, what can you attribute to your success as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think focus is the biggest thing. When you're out on your own and you don't have someone guiding you, it's really easy to sway off course. And by having, as an example, an annual plan every year to guide us, a marketing plan to guide us, it's really provided focus for me as well as my team and how I communicate to them. And that's been really, really important because it's allowed us to prioritize our efforts and also know when to say no. That was really one of the hardest things I learned as an entrepreneur was actually probably you should be saying no more than you're saying yes. And it's really hard to say no, especially if it's an opportunity where there's, revenue involved. But if your plan says you're supposed to do this, this, and this other thing doesn't really lead up that path, then, it makes it easy to say no and you really don't question yourself. So that focus is really the biggest thing that, I've learned and also I think has made me successful and the company successful.
And what are your plans for Solixir in the future? What do you see as the ultimate vision?
Right. We want to continue to build out our markets and then expand into the larger markets within the Midwest and the Northeast. We just signed on to go into all the Stop and Shop stores in the Northeast, which opens up everything from New York, New Jersey up for us. And so kind of hold the line there, build that market, build out Midwest to include, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, St. Louis, Detroit, and build a strong business and show that we have, even more than proof of concept, really show consumer demand. And therefore we can determine what we want to do next, whether that's continue to raise more capital internally, look for an exit, whatever it might be. That's the idea, is to build a strong, compelling story with good financials and good consumer velocity as far as purchasing the product. That's what I'm concentrated on right now, and everything else is kind of not irrelevant, but everything we do kind of leads to those objectives.
Sure, great. And Scott, I have one last question for you. Is there any advice you can give to other startup founders?
I would say the biggest advice is network. Continue to network every single day and be very humble and know what you're strong at and what you're weak at. Seek out people that can help you with the things that you're not as capable to do on your own. And more importantly, find people that are going to be straight with you and give you an honest answer, because there's a lot of people out there that won't do it because they feel bad, they're going to hurt your feelings. But find that person that's going to, almost make you cry, because that will make you better. And they're out there. It's just a lot of people don't seek them out because they don't want to be told, something wrong or they should tweak something. Because I say all the time, entrepreneurs, we like to drink our own Kool-Aid, and it's really hard to get critical of your own idea and you as a leader and a manager. So I think networking to both find people that can help you out from a business perspective, from a funding perspective, and actually probably the biggest thing is just networking to join a community of entrepreneurs that creates not a safety net, but a group of people, that like-minded people that you can console in, you can congratulate with, especially if you're a single founder or only a couple people in your company or you're virtual. It gets pretty lonely, at the top. And so if you network to find people, I think that's pretty much the biggest thing that I would recommend doing, because everything else kind of spurs from that, and certainly raising capital does as well, because you can meet people that have done it, they've already made the mistakes, and so you hopefully don't have to repeat those by talking to them. So it's having humility and really having that network to tap into.
That's great advice, Scott.
Thanks.
And if you're interested in learning more about Solixir and Scott Lerner, go to fundology.com.